Well, thank you, Imana. And then concluding moments with Professor Monye. Well, now, let's talk a little bit of specifics now. In terms of the figures, how much did the Jonathan administration meet in the excess crude account, and how much did they leave, since we've not seen or read the handover note?
Well, to be honest with you, I don't know the exact figures. But the figures that were published last week suggest that we had something like 2.09 billion. That's currently in the excess crude account. But mind you that the amount of money that was met by this the last administration was more than that. But under pressure from governors, they continue to share and share and share. So every single month, the governors receive statement of account of what has come in and what they shared and what balance it was. So every governor in the state had a statement of account on a monthly basis through their commissioners of finance when they go for FAC meeting. So it was very transparent when I was in government.
What happened to the foreign reserves?
Foreign reserve obviously has been depleted, but I'm told that we have something like 30 billion US dollars in our foreign reserve. That much I know.
When the state governors met with the president, given that their fiscal challenge that they had where they couldn't pay salaries, they did say that the federal government was owing them for roads, federal government roads that they had done, and the government did not pay. Why didn't the federal government pay, Jonathan administration?
Well, first of all, let me say in very clear terms that when the price of crude started falling down, the former Minister of Finance, Dr. Okonjo-Iweala, called a meeting of commissioners of finance to advise that salaries should be made first line charge. That is to say, if you do not pay salary first before you embark on any activities, you will have difficulty because revenue is coming down. That was communicated also to the governors. Prioritize salary. Therefore, no state governor has any business talking about non-payment of salary because they continue to receive money from Federation account. Now, it is pure fiscal decision of the governors as to what their priorities were. If they so choose to do contracts as they have done and ignore payment of salary, it is their decision. Nigerians ought to ask governors what they did with their money. It is the responsibility, is the civic responsibility of all Nigerians. But to go along this bandwagon of they couldn't pay salary, why couldn't they pay salary?
Some of the excuse was that, look, for instance, I think the one I read about Osun State was they used to receive about a little over 4 billion.
Yes.
Now it's a little over 1 billion.
Yes.
And that the Jonathan administration ran the country aground, so they couldn't get funds to pay.
So the Jonathan administration was holding his money, or he couldn't pay salary because he was not able to prioritize his salary. It is his decision not to pay salary. Assuming it was 1 billion and the salary wage bill is 2 billion and he doesn't pay 1 month, he saves 1 billion and saves another 1 billion, he can pay salary for at least one month in 2 months. But if he decides he won't pay for 10 months, that is his decision. Nobody made that decision for him. He's the almighty in that state. The fiscal responsibility of the state rests squarely on him, so he shouldn't try to pass the buck to anybody. But now, some of the governors go as far as saying that they built federal government roads and projects. Did anybody ask them? Do they have authority of the federal government to work on their roads? They don't. It is their decision. Did they follow due process? In fact, I was very delighted to hear the outcome of the meeting between the governors and President Buhari, who told them they are not just going to get money. If it is established that they did work on federal government projects and they follow due process in award of those contracts, then they will be considered.
Let's get something straight. I live in a place and I have the federal road there, and the federal government on its own decide not to fix that road and it becomes impassable, doesn't the state have the right to help and tender same to the federal government for reimbursement? That's what we're saying.
Now, if I am your neighbor and I have a good house and yours is leaky and you can't do it, and I wake up one day, I say, I have a duty to my neighbor to fix his house. I take Julius Berger or a very expensive contractor to fix that building. Then I come to you and say, this is my bill because you are becoming an eyesore to me, so I fix your building, so pay me. I will say two things. One, how did you select Julius Berger? Was it the most cost-effective company to use? Was it the best we could have used? How many bids did you receive? How did you evaluate the bid? And so on. So did you follow any due process even to award that contract to fix my house, which I didn't ask you to fix for me?
I think that analogy doesn't really work.
No, wait.
Then let me tell you the analogy that we should have used.
Okay.
You know, you have seen some neighborhoods and people build without drainage system.
Yes.
And you decide to put the drainage in front of everyone.
Yes.
And they say everyone should come and put a slab and put a cement and put everything by themselves. Mm-hmm. And 1, 2, 3 has done his, and the man before you decides not to do his. Mm-hmm. Knowing full well that when it starts raining, it will start to open up and it will affect you. So if you know it's going to affect your people, affect your state and the people in your state, then you're bound to fix it. So the man whose roof is bad, it doesn't affect me. If he's going to pour in his house and turn into a canoe, then it's a different thing. But once that rot is now affecting other law-abiding citizens and users of that particular road, then the state can come in.
No, well, you see, governance is different from academics. When you want to work on federal government projects, there are procedures. Federal government never said you cannot intervene if it is convenient for you to do so. That is not federal government's position. Federal government's position is, first, discuss with us that you want to work on our project. 2, follow due process. You don't just bring your brother and say, do the road, bill me 1 billion or 2 billion, and you pass on that 2 billion to federal government. It's not going to happen. That's what we're saying. What the president said is that they will look at, that's President Buhari, what he said is that they will look at those projects and see whether they follow due process. That if you didn't follow due process, he's not going to pay you. That's what he said. So nobody is saying don't work on federal government projects. But tell them first, I want to work on your projects, get their permission. Anambra State Governor, the former Anambra State Governor, did it when he was working on Head Bridge, Upper Iweka Road. He went to federal government and said, this is a mess to my state. I know you don't have resources now, but I have money. Can I do it? If I do, will you pay me? Everything was agreed, and he did. That's how it's done.